From players going AWOL a day before the game, to performers having wardrobe malfunctions in front of millions of people, there have been loads of controversies across Super Bowl history. Starting with the fact that Eugene Robinson was arrested right before Super Bowl 33. Eugene is a man who was known for his outstanding character both on and off the field. He's done charity work for youths, and he's received the Bart Star Award for his contributions to the community. But, wait for it, in a plot twist that even M. Night Shyamalan couldn't dream up, Eugene was arrested for solicitation by an undercover cop in Miami. Yep, you heard that right. He went from being a shining star to a shady character in just a few hours. But hey, the show must go on, and Eugene still played in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, he wasn't at his best, giving up an 80-yard touchdown and being beaten on another play. Maybe lack of sleep due to his legal issues played a role in his poor performance? Who knows? But hey, at least he wasn't the only Falcon trying to pay for some love. And that's not the only big Super Bowl controversy, because there's also the whole officiating situation in Super Bowl 40. It's the matchup everyone had been waiting for, the Seattle Seahawks versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Seattle was up against a tough team with a defense as tight as a jar of pickles, and a scoring differential that was definitely quite wide. But wait, there's more. The Seahawks were also facing an officiating unit that seemed to have a grudge against them. In a game that had more controversy than a Kardashian family dinner, the Seahawks had not one, not two, but 3 bad calls go against them. And it wasn't just any old bad calls. These were questionable calls that cost the team a minimum of 14 points. First, there was an early offensive pass interference call that took 7 points off the board. Then, a phantom holding call took another 7 points away. And if that wasn't enough, officials allowed a 1-yard touchdown run by Big Ben when it wasn't even conclusive on replay. Come on, man. But hey, it's not all bad news. Despite the mistakes by the officials, Seattle still managed to outplay their opponent.
The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
But this next controversy definitely stands in a league of its own. It's Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction. The stage was set during the halftime show of Super Bowl 38 in Houston. Jackson and Justin Timberlake took the stage, and things were about to get wild. Timberlake decided to do a little striptease on Jackson's outfit, and before fans knew it, he ripped off a piece of her clothing, exposing her to millions of football fans. It was definitely something no one had on their bucket list for the night. Of course, this performance drew the ire of mainstream America. Members of Congress, the Parents Television Council, and CBS executives were all outraged by the incident. Even then Senator Zell Miller had something to say about decency in American culture. And you know it's serious when a senator starts talking about nipples. CBS, which broadcasted the Super Bowl, was fined a record $550,000 for the incident. MTV, which produced the halftime show, hasn't been involved in one since. It just goes to show you that even the biggest performances can come with serious consequences. That said, it's still probably nothing compared to this next controversy. I'm talking about when Namath guaranteed victory. Joe Namath was the quarterback who had ladies swooning over him left and right. And if you thought he was just a pretty face, think again, because Namath also had the guts to guarantee a Super Bowl victory for his New York Jets against the heavily favored Baltimore Colts. Namath's teammates weren't thrilled about his bold statement, but he was so confident in his team's abilities that he just didn't care.
I think we got a heck of a shot of winning. We beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
And wouldn't you know it, the Jets went out there and actually pulled off the upset of the century. It was a moment that forever changed the history of the Super Bowl. So the next time you see a quarterback rocking a fur coat and sipping on a drink, just remember who set the trend. And if you're feeling particularly daring, go ahead and make a bold guarantee of your own. Who knows, you might just end up making history too. This next controversy is one that most fans probably remember. After all, it's Stanley Wilson's cocaine addiction. Addiction is no laughing matter, so let's show some compassion for Stanley. You see, the running back was battling drug addiction, and just hours before the Cincinnati Bengals were set to play in Super Bowl 23, he relapsed. That's right, Wilson was found high on cocaine just 20 minutes after telling his teammates he was going to get his playbook. According to reports, Wilson had struggled with cocaine addiction in the past and knew the danger it posed. But the devil on his shoulder was too strong, and he couldn't resist the seductive call of the white powder. Sadly, Wilson never got to play in the Super Bowl or any other NFL game again. As a three-time violator of the league's substance abuse policy, he was banned for life. And things didn't get much better for Wilson after that. In 1999, he was arrested for stealing $130,000 in property from a house in Beverly Hills, California. He was later convicted and is currently serving a 22-year sentence in state prison. So let's remember that addiction is a serious issue and not make fun of those who struggle with it. And let's hope that Stanley Wilson is getting the help he needs to turn his life around. That said, there are many other controversies to list too, like when Barrett Robbins went AWOL. Robbins was a former Pro Bowl center for the Oakland Raiders. He suffered from bipolar disorder and went on an alcohol-fueled bender in Tijuana the night before Super Bowl 37. This caused him to miss the game. Robbins was later diagnosed with the disorder and has had several run-ins with the law since retiring from the NFL, including an arrest for possession of cocaine and pleading guilty to attempted murder. Despite the unique circumstances, it's safe to say that the player experienced setbacks and struggles in his personal life, even as they achieved success in the field. And finally, there's also this next controversy. It's Tank Johnson plays loaded. His actions were not only illegal, but also irresponsible and showed a complete disregard for the safety of himself and those around him. Bringing firearms to the Super Bowl, where thousands of people gather to watch the game, is a dangerous and foolish act. Let me just say, it's fortunate that nothing happened and no one was hurt. Plus, the fact that Johnson had already been arrested twice before, just in the previous 18 months, raised concerns about his character and judgment. It's clear that he wasn't learning from his mistakes and continued to engage in reckless behavior. Despite all of this, Johnson was still allowed to play in the Super Bowl. This sends a message that athletes can get away with illegal activities as long as they are good at their sport. It also raises questions about the NFL's standards for player conduct and the message they are sending to young fans. If you ask me, in the end, the real winners of this situation were the police department. They were able to take illegal firearms and drugs off the streets. I mean, Johnson's actions really could have put the lives of people at risk. And it's important to hold individuals accountable for their actions, regardless of their status or fame. Though that's all the major Super Bowl controversies across its history.